So welcome everybody to the Ultimate Confidence Booster webinar, and thank you for joining us today. My mission during the next 30 minutes is to help you boost your confidence by demystifying what confidence is and giving you some practical tips and advice that can help you and that you can adopt now. My intent is to serve you the best way I can, and I hope what I share with you today will meet your expectations. So first of all, who am I? My name is Maria Newman, and I help the retired, the redundant, and the divorced to regain their confidence, reconnect with who they are, and silence their inner critic so that they can navigate life with certainty. And if you're not already, then please come and connect with me on either LinkedIn or TikTok, and I will put some links in the chat later on. If you want to know my story and how I got to where I am today, then by all means, please have a look on my website. And again, I will post those details at the end. During this webinar, I'm going to cover the common causes of low self-esteem and how to overcome them, some practical techniques for building self-esteem and self-worth, and how to silence your inner critic and embrace your strengths. Plus, at the end, I will be giving someone a free place on my up-and-coming The Ultimate Confident Booster 4-week online program. And again, I'll give you some more information about that at the end. Everyone has their own opinion of what confidence looks like. It's personal, and I want you to start thinking about what confidence is and what it means to you. So bearing this in mind, I'm interested to know why you want to be confident. So please go ahead and share it in the chat box. So for me, confidence is about self-belief. It's about the belief in oneself, the conviction that one has the ability to meet life's challenges and to succeed, and also the willingness to act accordingly. And to simplify, it's about how you feel about yourself and your abilities. So when we lack confidence, it's because of uncertainty, and that might be uncertainty in ourselves, uncertainty in our abilities, uncertainty in our environment. And that's also why we can feel confident in some situations and lack confidence in others. When we're in a familiar situation with familiar people and we know we have the skills to deal with those situations, then we will feel more confident. However, if we're in a situation which has uncertainty in it with people who we don't know and we don't feel we have the skills or the ability to deal with that situation, then obviously we're going to feel like we lack confidence. So for the purposes of this webinar, I'm going to be talking about self-confidence and situational confidence. Now, self-confidence is about you being comfortable with yourself and your abilities, whereas situational confidence is about the level of confidence you have in any given situations. Now, there are times in life where your confidence will have been knocked, and that might be because life as you know it has changed. And for me, those times have been when I became a mum for the first time, when I went back to work after maternity leave, and when I started my own business, just to name a few. So lots of different situations where I myself have had my self-confidence knocked, but also because I found myself in situations that I found alien to me. And so my level of confidence was low. And you see, experiences we have during our lives and the influences others have on us will either knock us down or build us up, depending on what we allow. So I want you now to think about your current level of self-confidence, how you feel in yourself. And as I go through this next list, I want you to see which one resonates with you as to what has influenced the way you feel when it comes to your self-confidence. So, experiencing a life-changing event. This could be, like myself, becoming a parent. It could be if you've lost a job. It could be if you've accepted a job that you think you're not good enough for, you're not capable of performing in. It could be losing a loved one. It could be moving to a different part of the world. It could be experiencing something that you have never experienced before. Feeling like you're constantly being criticized, or the fear of being judged or compared, feeling like you're constantly making mistakes, feeling physically and mentally tired because you haven't been able to look after your well-being, listening to your inner critic, and finally, dwelling on past mistakes. Any of these and more can impact and will influence your level of confidence. And I don't have to tell you that regaining your confidence will have a dramatic effect on your life and the way you live it. When you feel confident, you will feel more comfortable with just being you, and you will feel calmer. You'll be less bothered by what other people think, and you'll be able to manage stressful situations better. You'll be able to influence others. You'll focus on the positive rather than dwelling on the negative, and you'll generally feel in a more happier state. Now, the ability to be confident and to be more confident is within you. I just want to help you connect with it. You see, confidence is like a muscle. It needs to be constantly exercised. And I emphasize the word constantly, because if it is not, then over time it will start to weaken and you will feel less confident. So I have a couple of questions for you to think about. And I'm going to give you some time to really think about this. What one thing would you do if you were more confident? That's my first question. And then my second question is, what does being confident look like, feel like, and sound like to you? And if you need a bit of a nudge on what does being confident look like, feel like, and sound like, then think of someone who you would say is confident and has the qualities that you would like to have. Now, by answering these two questions, you've done two things. Number one, you've thought about a goal that you want to work towards. And number two, you now are more aware as to how you want to be when it comes to being a confident individual. Where I want to take you now is I want to give you time to reacquaint yourself with who you are and to really get comfortable with being you. Because when you're comfortable being you, then what happens in the outside world, it becomes easier to deal with. I want to focus on building your self-confidence first, which will then start you on your journey to becoming the confident person that you want to be. And it's about building a strong sense of self and being comfortable with who you are, which will ultimately mean, as I've said, that you will be better able to deal with new and uncertain situations. And for me, this is about nurturing your inner cheerleader so that you can remind yourself how amazing you are. Because naturally, we will always focus on where we lack and where we're not good enough. So it's about refocusing our attention towards the positive. And this exercise we're about to do will help you even more in those moments when you are doubting yourself and where you are feeling like you can't rather than you can. So it's another one for you to think about here. A couple of questions for you. It's time to reacquaint yourself with who you are. So let's celebrate your successes, because you have been on this earth for a little while and you have achieved stuff. So think about the last 12 months. And I want you to start to write a list of 10 things you have achieved in the last 12 months. Don't think about the size. It's not about, oh, well, I ran the London Marathon the other week. It's about you, your individuality, your personal experiences, and come up with a list of 10 things you have achieved in the last 12 months. Second question for you. What 5 positive words would you use to describe yourself? And I know it's easier to think of maybe 5 words that aren't positive, but obviously this is all about building your confidence. And if you can't easily think of 5 words, then think about 5 words that someone else would use to describe you and that resonate and sit well. And finally, if you're close to a mirror or a shiny surface where you can see your face, or you could just use your mobile phone and turn the camera to see your face, I want to look at yourself, and I want you to tell yourself 3 things you like about yourself. Now, it might be quite easy at this point, again, to look at yourself in the mirror and to start seeing the things you don't like about yourself. But I want you to reverse that negative thinking. And so for me, for example, I am grateful for my wobbly belly because it reminds me of the 2 awesome children that I now have. So those are just a couple of things, a couple of exercises you can go through to start to get comfortable with yourself so that you can start to build your self-confidence. But the problem is, our biggest obstacle is ourselves, and you could say is disguised as our inner critic. That voice inside your head that is neither good nor bad, but is just doing their job and just wants us to be safe. Which is great when we lived in caves and the threat from leaving the cave and being attacked by a wild beast was real. However, that is not the case today. The key is to separate yourself from that voice. Just because a thought pops inside your head, it doesn't mean it's right or that it's true. For those of you who have followed me for a while, you will know that my inner critic is called Vera. And I've named her Vera on purpose because for me, she is a sweet old lady who just wants the best for me. But that's not necessarily always helpful. It's about making friends with our inner critic, because I said a minute ago, the inner critic is doing their job in making you aware of what might feel unsafe. And obviously, this happens when we start to doubt ourselves, when we're about to go into an uncertain situation. So I want to encourage you to become friends with your inner critic, that voice inside your head that actually is giving you some useful information. So to start with, and again, I'm not going to give you a lot of time, I'd like you to think about a name that you can give to your inner critic to separate them from you. A name that encompasses the character of that voice that you hear, that tells you to be careful, that you shouldn't have a go, that there might be danger. And then once you've come up with a name for your inner critic, I want you to start practicing becoming more self-aware as to what that inner critic is saying, in my case, Vera, and why she might be saying those things to you. And again, this is a daily practice to have as part of your normal everyday living, because it will help you from both a personal development point of view as well as a confidence point of view. So becoming more aware of when your inner critic is putting thoughts in your head. What is your inner critic saying? Why are they saying what they're saying? How can it be helpful? And then with that information, you deciding what your next best move is. And more importantly, to always show yourself kindness. So you will hear that voice come up when you're about to enter a situation where you don't feel you are capable. Be aware of the thoughts that pop into your head. Be aware of what that voice is saying and why it might be saying it. And then decide how you can use that information to best help you move forward rather than holding you back. So that first bit, we've talked about self-confidence. I now want to move on to situational confidence. And that's about taking action. So whether we like it or not, the best way to grow our confidence in any situation is to take action. I know it can feel icky, it can feel awkward. But the thing is, the longer you dwell on something, or even try to avoid something, the harder it will feel. And if those of you know Mel Robbins, she teaches the 5-second rule, which is great. And basically, you start by counting from 5 backwards, and as soon as you get to 1, you then go do. This stops you from thinking, which means it limits you from talking yourself out of doing the thing that you know you need to do. So think of something that you do now that you are good at. And once you've got that in your mind, I want you to think back to the first time you did it. So it might be that you are now an expert in the subject that you work. Think about the very first time you spoke about that subject. How confident did you feel? Probably not very. You now have confidence because you have taken action, and you have continued taking action, learning your knowledge, getting more experience, and so your confidence has grown. So I want to think of just one thing that you would do now if you felt more confident. It might be the goal we talked about right at the beginning of this webinar. Notice the thoughts that have popped into your head as soon as I asked you that question. The doubt, the volume from your inner critic slowly getting louder, saying, oh, that's far too difficult. It's now time to refocus and reframe so that you can take action and build your confidence in different situations. When you're about to enter something new, I want you to ask yourself the following questions. What is your why? So you've decided you want to do this thing. The thing might be go for a job promotion. The thing might be to have a difficult conversation. What is the reason behind it? Because if there's not a big enough why, it won't compel you to go and do it, and it will feel hard. I want you to then focus on how you will feel when you've done it, and really step into those positive feelings instead of sitting in the dread. And then I want you to think about all the positive results you will get having done it. It's about focusing on the positive that will happen. And at the very least, you will learn something which is still positive, whether that's learning something about yourself or the situation. And then finally, because that's a lot of thinking, what are the 3 small actions you can take to get you started and that will then build momentum? So whenever you want to do something where you feel you lack the confidence, It's about taking action to build the momentum and making those steps small and manageable so that you know you can do them. And that's a wrap. I hope that you have found this webinar useful and beneficial. And before I open up to some questions, I just want to tell you about the Ultimate Confidence Booster 4-week online program that we're starting on the 12th of June. To let you know a bit about the 4-week course, the Ultimate Confidence Booster 4-week course, this program is about moving you from constantly doubting yourself to being the confident person that you want to be, armed with the tools and techniques necessary to help you deal with all situations. And unlike this webinar, the program will be tailored to meet the outcomes of your needs. The basis of the program is about helping you achieve a confidence goal or goals. And as I mentioned during this webinar, it's about allowing you to get from where you are today to where you want to get to. So for example, one of the past delegates, she wants to be able to deliver her 1-minute pitch in a calm and confident manner, instead of bumbling her way through her words and feeling like she was constantly saying, So the program itself includes a 1-hour live workshop on Zoom, where I will work with you to establish your confidence goals and also help you to resolve some of the issues that you might have. You'll also be invited to join a Facebook group, which will be live for the duration of the program, and you will have lifetime access to all of the material. And I'll go live every week to help you to move from where you are to staying motivated and achieving your goals. And this group will act as an accountability group as well. So we'll all be helping each other. And I will be constantly posing questions for you to keep you on track and to remind you where you are aiming to get to. And in just 4 weeks, you will achieve your confidence goals. And just to read you a testimonial from the lady I talked about who had the 60-second pitch. When I was giving my 60 seconds, that was the best I'd felt in that room. And I've been going to meetings there for over a year. And because I felt that much more confident, it really sparked some really positive conversations after everyone had done their 60 seconds. People seemed to be more forward in approaching me about things and wanting to get my ideas on subjects. And that was really noticeable for me. And I then went on to my next meeting at 10 a.m. where we actually are allowed to talk for 10 to 15 minutes about our businesses. And I really felt comfortable to do that too. That's not a usual feeling for me. I usually make mine as quick as possible. So I want to say a really big thank you. This program is available for an investment of £99, but I am running an early bird offer, and it'll be available for 1 week at £75. Booking your place is really easy, and you will receive a follow-up email from this webinar anyway with some useful links and more details. And if you have any questions, then by all means send me a message. I'd like to say thank you very much for giving me half an hour of your time and listening to me. It's good to hear and good to know that this has been beneficial, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future, everyone. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.